Good morning, everyone. This is JD Cantu from Hispanic News Online. We're bringing you another 30 for 30 podcast series interview today. Unfortunately, I was not able to do the interview myself, but my buddy Obed Manuel was able to do this for me, and he will be introducing to you Violeta Moser. I hope you enjoy the interview and take something from it today. I can't thank Violeta enough for being on the show, and I must apologize for not being able to interview her myself. But these ladies and people in North Carolina are just doing incredible stuff, and I just didn't want to miss having her recorded. So, Obed, thank you very much, and I hope you guys sit back, spend 30 minutes with Obed and Violeta, and enjoy this podcast. Adios, and we'll see you mañana.
Obed Manuel here with Hispanic News Online. On the phone, I have Violeta Mozer. She's the executive director at the Latin American Women's Association in Charlotte, North Carolina. I would like to welcome her to the show. How are you today, Ms. Mozer?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Good. Ms. Mozer, let's start with a basic introduction. Why don't you tell us who you are and tell us a little bit about what you do.
Okay, I'm Violeta Moser, and I am the executive director of the Latin American Women's Association. We are a small non-profit, local, in the Charlotte region in North Carolina. I am a native of Peru, where I was born. I was born in Lima, the capital of Peru, and lived there through my teen age. At age 18, I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and since then I've lived here. This is dating back to late 70s.
Okay. So that's about, you've been here in the States for about 45 years?
40 years to be exact. 42
Okay.
years to be exact.
Okay, 42 years. Okay. Tell us a little bit about your own education. How did you, what was your education like here in the States?
Right. One of the reasons that I came to the United States as a teen living in a Latin American country around the time when there was a lot of unrest in many countries, particularly during the late 60s and 70s in Peru. We had a dictatorship controlled the nation. There were a lot of restrictions, strikes. I was attending a university at that time at a very early age in my teen life. The education system in Peru around that time was that most students graduate from high school around 15, 16. So I was already attending college at that time when an opportunity came to come to the United States, where I saw my chance increase to get my college degree, which, as you know, for most Latinos, is a way to get better and do better things. So in 1974, I arrived originally to New York City and attended Montclair University in New Jersey. I lived with a distant family that I had not met before. So that was the beginning of my life here in the United States.
Okay. And what year was it again that you said you graduated from Montclair?
Montclair State University in Montclair, New Jersey.
Okay.
That was my dream, to get a college degree, and I was able to do so with the help of people at the university that at that time I did not realize would be the most influential people for the work that I do now. So I lived in New Jersey and Connecticut for the first few years of my life as a graduate, as a professional, working in the banking industry primarily. And then around the early 80s, I moved to North Carolina. North Carolina at that time had a very small population of Hispanics, and that was one of them, living in a rural area where I learned about the migrant workers and the past and the experiences of these migrant workers that looked very much like me, and I didn't realize the history of migrants or the immigrant population around that time. So that drew me into doing volunteer work, initially doing translation, and then little by little getting into understand better the influence that that migrant population had here in this rural state. Then over time, with my family, we moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, in the 90s. And since then, my work as a volunteer with the Hispanic community kept on growing as the population grew. And so my primary experience, again, away from my career and professional work, was as a volunteer serving in committees and boards, representing the Hispanic community. As far as my professional career, as I said, I was in the bank industry for many, many years. And then around, I guess, late, I think it was around the year 2000 when I saw an opportunity to start a small business. I worked with a small firm initially and then had an opportunity to buy a small business doing market research. So I experienced that for about 8 years of my life. But all along, I knew that there was a void in there about the fulfillment of my work. And then I realized when I moved to becoming the executive director of the Latin American Women's Association that my call was to do the work that I do now. I can tell you about what I do. I work, again, in a field that is tough. It's tough when our community is still learning. I am an immigrant, still learning how the processes work here in this country. But I've always felt that the support that we receive as newcomers has been great, particularly here in Charlotte. So the Latin American Women's Association's primary goal is education, and that's the passion that most Latinos bring here or Hispanics bring here into this area. So this organization was formed in 1992 with the interest of mothers, primarily women, that were looking to give a better chance to their own children to seek higher education. So what we do here is focus on quality education for Latinos in order to improve their lives, and we do it through scholarship for higher education, and then cultural and academic programs in the local public school system. Specifically, our goals are directed to increasing high school graduation. We promote higher education, not necessarily to go 4 years, but also 2 years and obtain an associate's degree. We provide scholarship grants, awards. We raise money for that. And we also have workshops to empower women. Primarily, the women are the mothers of the students that we serve to continue their careers, to develop technical skills so that they can also have a way of supporting themselves.
Okay. And how many schools in the Charlotte area does the association work with?
We work directly with 5 primary schools or elementary schools and 4 high schools. Okay. We serve yearly 250 students directly, as well as their parents and families. So our impact is over probably 1,000 people when we involve the families. We do individual or one-on-one tutoring with volunteers and skilled ESL professional that we have in this organization, and we go to the schools during school time and work with primarily ESL or English as a second language students.
Okay.
We work in developing their reading and comprehension, English and comprehension skills and math.
Okay.
So it is very basic.
Okay.
We also work with high school students, and we provide Saturday workshops and work with them, providing information as to how to successfully complete their high school career, and then what are the possibilities for them to go to higher education, and we also give them information about scholarships.
Okay. And I was looking at the website a few minutes ago. How many students out of high school has the organization? Do you have the number maybe of how many students you've helped get them to actually finish or at least get into college?
Right, Manuel. We work with 25 students per high school, and we work with 5 high schools in the area. So the way the program works is we invite them to come to our partner universities and colleges where we provide workshops for them. So not only that the students that are registered in the program are invited, but those are the ones that we track. But we invite our entire community to attend. So students come with their parents typically, and we offer, as I said, workshops that go from what FAFSA means all the way to how do I apply for a scholarship or how much does a career cost, etc.
Okay.
We also bring mentors for them, members of our own community here in Charlotte that are professionals. So we bring them to mentor students and also to inspire them. We have programs with Bank of America and their professionals to pair our students, including those who already receive our scholarship awards, so that they can continue to be mentored and successfully complete their college career.
Okay.
We see that as an issue sometimes. Our parents don't realize the cost of education, so we see that some of our youth enter school, are there for the first year, and then on the second year they have to drop out because they do not have the financial means to continue.
Right.
So we hope through mentorship and information ahead of time, we can help families plan a little bit better and provide the resources for them.
Right. Right. So even after the students graduate from high school, you guys do keep you guys do keep your arms open and you help them even throughout that first year so that they can, like you said, continue with their education.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Again, in that group of students that we coach, we offer them what we call LAWA scholarship awards. And of course, they have to go through a process of applying for it, qualifying for them. Our required GPA is 3.0.
Okay.
And also it's based not only on their academic performance, but primarily on their financial need. And so through a selection process, we award approximately 20 to 30 students every year with a small fund for the year, but is sustained for the following 3 years of their complete career, college career. Okay. But we also have been successful in partnering with local colleges and universities where students that attend those colleges and universities receive a matching fund equally matching our award, so that it doubles impact. And that's sustained for 4 years as long as they continue keeping with their 3.0 GPA. The GPA, of course, is their scores, keeping good scores. I have to point out, however, that sometimes people may think that our students are not performing at par, but I will tell you that our average GPA applicants exceed 3.0. We have some students that are attending amazing colleges and universities, very prestigious around the country, and so we're excited for them, and we're really positive that we're making an impact in the lives of the youth.
That's great. From a personal perspective, what's it been like for you working with this organization and helping these young men and women basically achieve something that maybe if you guys weren't around, they wouldn't have been able to do. What does that mean to you on a personal level?
I am going back to my story that where I began. I came to this country looking for an opportunity in education. With my background, I had no idea what I was going to encounter here, other than my parents gave me all the money that they could give me to help me succeed. They remained in Peru while I was here. And the plan was that I was going to stay here only 6 months, one semester, and then I would go home, go back home. However, when I arrived here, a person from Mexican descent that worked at a university coached me and became my mentor to let me know what opportunities were there for me to continue studying and increase my potential for a better career. And so it begins right there. I was mentored, I was inspired by someone who helped me way back then, and as I said, I came to this country in 1974. So all throughout my career, that has been so meaningful that I am on my third professional career, and that is my biggest motivation. There's one person that can make a difference in a youth, in a young person's life, to guide them, to help them, and to see how they can succeed if just opportunities are open. Because for many of our students, their parents, as much as we love them, sometimes we cannot provide the knowledge because we're new, we're immigrants. But if there's one person in our community that can do so, it makes a huge, big difference. So sometimes it's a cliche to say one person at a time, but it really does take one person at a time, and that's what drives my passion to be doing the work that I'm doing.
Right. Yeah, that's actually what I was going to ask you is, you kind of talked about, how it was obviously kind of difficult in Peru. I guess on a personal level, right? You kind of understand the value of the education that these young men and women, can receive. Like you said, with a little bit of help. Let me ask you a little bit about, again, kind of your involvement with the organization. Is this your primary occupation? Is this the only? I know you talked about the marketing firm. Is this your main kind of occupation?
No, yes, this is my full-time job. I am the executive director. Let me tell you a little bit, just to give you the history of the organization. LAWA, or the Latin American Women's Association, began in 1992. For the first 16 years of its life, it operated with volunteers. So around 2008 is when we had to make the change to form an infrastructure around it. And I am the first executive director that moved into that position. So yes, it is a full-time job for me. It is my passion, and I could be here day in and day out, and I don't think I can exhaust the inspiration that I received from our little ones when I go and help with tutoring or see others tutoring. There's this incredible, bright-eyed students that all they need is just some guidance, and that inspires me personally to come here and work every day.
As a whole, what would you say? Obviously, you're somebody who values education. what would you say to the Hispanics in the community around the country, about the value of education from a personal standpoint and from what you have seen in these young men and women that have been helped by LAWA?
Hmm. What I can say is, as you are asking me that question, I think about my mother and what she used to tell me when I was a young girl, that my primary job was school, that I had to study. And both my parents stressed that on me for my first 18 years of my life. And so that I say that to parents who may be listening to this, to encourage their children to understand their education is their main job. And it is through education that doors open. I came to this country knowing the language, and I thought I knew it well enough to be on my own. But even at that point, when I arrived here in 1974, I knew that my English wasn't good enough to be able to open the doors that I wanted open. So increasing the education, emphasizing that to those around me, that was my main goal, was critical. So I encourage everybody, it doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are, education is the way out. And for Latinos, primarily, where 12% of our country's population, the U.S., has a college degree, we have a long ways to walk, but we are getting better. If we hear the reports of many, many more Latinos going to college, we are going to college, but in many cases, as I mentioned before, we're not completing the full 2 or 4 years process or more. We need to do that. We need to do better, and I think each one of us needs to know that opens doors. I sat on boards, I've sat on commissions that had it not been for my education, I would not have been able to represent our community. And I think that it's critical. I think education is our way out to getting better and better.
Right. Well said. Like you mentioned before in our emails, was that you guys are starting this new school year. Tell us a little bit about what you guys have coming up this year, if anything different, anything new that you guys are trying. Tell us a little bit about how you guys manage or deal with the beginning of the school year.
Mm-hmm. Well, we are right in the middle of starting our school year with our elementary school students and matching volunteer tutors to do different things. That's always very exciting. We're always looking for volunteers to teach our students. So throughout the year, our effort is to increase that pool. Currently, we have 25 volunteers, and that's a small number, but it's critical. So if someone from the area of Charlotte is hearing this podcast, I encourage you to visit www.lawanc.org and sign up as a volunteer. It only takes 1 hour a week for 25 weeks. That's 25 hours to make a huge difference in a child's life. The other exciting thing is that we're getting ready to celebrate, of course, Hispanic Heritage Month. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of stuff in preparation. One of them will be that LAWA will be featured in the Hispanics in Philanthropy, or HIP, H-I-P, Give. So we'll have a run of, I think, 6 weeks where we will be doing crowdfunding. So where you go in with a link and just give us $5 to help with summer camp for our Latino students so that they don't lose what they've learned throughout during the summer. They don't lose what they've learned throughout the regular academic year in the summer, so we do summer camps.
Right.
And so there's a lot of celebrations going on, and again, if people are hearing me, I want to say let us celebrate our heritage, and let us also be active and contribute to our community. Even if you do not speak English the influence on young people as a mentor, as a person that they see and they want to look up to. A mom at home that wants to inspire a child does not need to be a doctor, does not need to be a nurse. She can model for her child by preparing him or her well to get up in the morning and get to school on time and learn, and that should be their primary job. So congratulations to you for doing this amazing series, and hopefully next time that we get on doing this, our community would have grown more in all senses.
Right, for sure. Maybe next time we'll interview one of the students who's gone through the program and has found success in their lives. We have a few minutes left before we close out our call, so I want to take a few minutes and just give you a chance to tell us how our audience can get in touch if they're in the area, or if they're in different parts and maybe want to contribute or maybe want to work with your organization. What's the best way to reach you guys and to reach the people that they need to reach in order to contribute or help out?
But thank you, Manuel, for this opportunity. Those of you who are in the Charlotte region, we are in Charlotte. We have offices in what is called the Valentine area. Our telephone number is 704-552-1003. To learn about us and what we do and our initiatives and programs, visit www.lawanc.org. Find us. There is, again, volunteer opportunities. There is, you can donate. Every single dollar makes a difference. And you can also, if you're in the area or would like to visit us, we will be doing something called Sabor Latino, which is a celebration of our flavors of all Latin American countries by a local chef, and that's on September 24 here in Charlotte. And next, starting what we call Latin American Carnival, we'll do a black tie. If you're interested in coming to a black tie and dress up nicely, that will be in February of 2016. There are many ways to support it, but most importantly, if you can just lend 1 hour to a child every single day of your life just to inspire them, I think that's the greatest benefit you can provide for LAWA and for our community.
Anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to say?
No, I want to thank you for this great opportunity, and again, just to congratulate everybody and let us celebrate being Hispanic and our heritage.
So, folks, I hope you enjoyed our 30 for 30 podcast series for today. I can't thank Obed enough for helping me out and recording this for me, because I sure would have hated to have missed Violeta Moser and learning more about the Latin American Women's Association in North Carolina. As you can tell, they're doing incredible work and reshaping their community. And this is what this 30 for 30 podcast series is about. It's highlighting individuals and groups who are actually connecting with the community and helping them out. So hats off to Violeta Moser and the Latin American Women's Association in North Carolina. Amigos, that is it for today. I hope you come back mañana and we will introduce you to another Latino or Latina or organization for Hispanic Heritage Month. Go out there and make somebody's day today. Adios y gracias.